Hey there, it's time for yet another fun video, and this is sinusoidal graphing number 6, and we're going to look at what A does. The last video, we looked at D, and this gave us our midline or vertical translation. Either word is cool, don't care. This one's possibly the easiest one to remember. In the old days, when we used to have to used to write departmental exams, I'm bragging a little bit here because I'm credited. It was really important that we had all the technical mathy words for it. Now, midline's just fine. Anyway, we are going to talk about A. So, time to open the graph again. Can't find it, you can type that in. I'm horrendous at that. It seems like every time I try and type in a link, it just is just like, no. So go on Brightspace or find the email I sent you. And while you're doing that, there we go. Okay, so I need to set everything back to the way it was. Oops, 0. Let's move this up a little bit. A is 1, B is 1, C is 0, and it should look like that. Okay. Close enough. This time it says adjust the slider A by moving the dot. So last time, remember, we played with D and we got that vertical translation. So we're moving technically we're moving the whole graph up and down, but we discovered wherever the D value was. So if D is at 0, that's where my midline is going to be. If I make D at 3, you can see that's where my midline is going to be. So muy bueno, that is so cool and so easy. We'll put that back to 0. So I don't want to deal with too much at the same time. Oh, come on. There. Now it says I'm going to play with A. So A right now is at 1. And here we go. Ooh, ooh, look at that. Pretty cool. What's going on? Yeah, the graph is getting what? If you asked your friend who is not taking math, what would they say? It's getting taller. It's doing this, expanding horizontal. Sorry, expanding vertically, whatever you want to call it. But you are clever. Oh, let's write that first. General answer. The graph is getting taller, expanding vertically, however you want to explain it. As long as here, whatever words you use, as long as you understand. But this one where a mathy word makes sense. What was the name of it from when we measured the center line? And up or down. Starts with an A. Yes, amplitude. Okay, so let's see. Which of the following changes is A changes? Well, we just said amplitude changes, right? So can we make it like really flat? Ooh, look at that. We can make it almost like just barely a ripple, barely a wave. Or we can make it crazy. Oh, so crazy, I got to change that. There, now we can see all the way to 10. Okay, so yes. Does it change my maximum? What do you think? Of course it does, right? Here's my center. It changes my amplitude, so it's like how far from my center. So yeah, that's going to change my maximum. And while I'm at it, pretty much sure that's going to work the other way too. Change my minimum. Does it change my period though? Right, remember a period is from, let's start at 0 to 360. Oh, you know what? It might be easy. Well, let's look at that. So we're here and here and here. So keep the 360 point and the 0 point in mind. And notice that curve is, if we talk about it in terms, it's getting to be a better roller coaster, but it's just up the hill, down the valley, back to the middle. That part's not changing. Okay, so it's not changing the period. And is it changing the middle? Well, let's make this 5 so it's easier to see. This goes up 5, down 5. If I change, nope. My graph is still staying at 0, so no to the midline. The only way I can change the midline is to change. Come on, you know it. If you don't, rewatch the previous video, right? You got to mess with D. Then you just get the whole thing moving up and down. I'll put that back to 0. Here we go. All right. I do have, we're going to do the question on the right-hand side with the box. It says, what happens if A is negative? Set the sliders to A is equal to -2. Okay, let's just do this. I'm going to zoom in here also. All right, so as A goes down, my amplitude's getting flatter and flatter, right? Less and less. How low can it go? What would an amplitude of 0 look like? Come on, think about it. Oh, flatter and flatter. Oh, ta-da! Well, that makes complete sense. Because you know what? If you put a 0 right here, where the A is, there's no more curve. It's just going to be like a flat line. But if we go negative, ooh, cool. The curve starts to go in the opposite direction, which actually makes complete sense. Number 1, let's look at this point and this point. Okay, graph there, 0 and 0. If I take my y coordinate, which is 0, how far up it is, and I multiply by -1, I still get 0. So that's not going to change, sorry. And the same thing there. Oops, same thing there, right? 0 times 0 is still, so those parts, they're almost like they're nodes. If you get into harmonics and physics where they talk about wave, it's like a node. This part doesn't move. But and put this back to 1. So that's where there. That's where it normally is. But if we take this value and multiply it through by -1, it just flips it upside down. So when A is negative, your curve goes, what's the word I want? Goes down first and then goes up over the hill. So we need to set, the question says, whoopsies, set it to -2 and then draw the curve. So I'm going to do that. Feel free to do that right now too. So it starts at 0 and then at 90, it's at -2. So I'm looking at this point and then I'm looking at this one. And then I'm going to put that one. At 180, it's back in the middle. And then at 270, it's up on top. And then at 360, it's back at 0. So then just do your best when you come to sketching. Here, I'll turn off Desmos so you can laugh at me when I draw. That's okay. Here, look at that. So what I did is, and what I always do is I put in my dots first. So each quarter, part of what we're going to learn in graphing. So my whole graph is from there to there, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So each quarter is a max, minimum, or the middle. So for this one, it went down first. And up. Back there. So this is different than these guys. Because these ones went up first. So this is a roller coaster. This is just sad. I don't know what it's going to be. You're going to go down and then you're just going to have to push and whatever. All right. Anyway, this says match the equation to the curves. It's not that hard, is it? Okay. So these numbers out in front. Oh, put in the 1. Determine the amplitude. So that has an amplitude of 1. I don't know how you want to do this. I'm just going to do this. Okay. And amplitude. All right, this one is 2.5. So the red one goes there. And the 4 must be the green one. Which leans, yep, the blue one there. Ta-da. Oh, that's very messy. That's wonderful. And hold on. I think we're done. Yep, we are done. Have a spectacular day. Remember, Sonia's little graphing is cool and